Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go first. I've got Quare. I don't think I have a 7-letter play. Quare 48, great start. I have a lot of consonants. I could have a bingo through a floating vowel. I don't have a 7. I'm wondering about lant skip. That may be good, and that plays at the moment in column 7, if it's good. If it's not, I'm confusing it with something that is. Can't see anything through the A. What about the U? Can't see anything through the U. So at the moment I can see lant skip, which I have some doubts about, but I will try it. And that stays available. And the K and P both get doubled, which increases the score. 73. Well, if it comes off, I won't be sorry to see the back of this rack. But if it stays on, I'll have to deal with it. Is this rack bad enough to change? Well, it's certainly not a rack I can sort out in one go. Do I have anything in column 8? Well, I've got Fab, but that keeps a pretty awful rack. Great, Landskip stays on. I think it probably is good. Now, Favour, F-A-V-A, sorts out some of the problems with this rack, and Flavour is also good, and that plays across here, placing the F on this triple letter square. 21 points. Yeah, this has some merit. And because the V takes nothing in front, I'm not enabling my opponent to play across the top here. And I'm keeping no duplicate tiles and only one of the troublesome consonants. Well, I'm not sure Flavour was best, but it's with a rack that horrible, it's hard to consider all of the options. Now I've got a 100-point lead, which I'd like to try and keep. This rack is slightly better than the previous one, but I still have 3 high-scoring tiles, a duplicate vowel and the U, so it has got a lot of problems. Great, my opponent has challenged and lost 5 points. Through an N, I would have Inambu or Inambus. So I could play that in row D. It would burn the S in order to reach the double word square. But it would sort the rack out and score quite well. Now column A has got, well, all 3 triple word squares available. I suppose Mayor is the only one I can use, which is the middle one. 38 points, pretty good. Yeah, that might be worth considering. It keeps the S. Plays off 2 of my high-scoring tiles, splits up the duplicate A. So let me see if that stays available. I'm looking to see if I've got a double-double through the T of landscape or in column 5 through Ute. Well, my opponent has taken my preferred spot and my backup spot for Inambus. So I'm going to have to find something else. Ute and Chin only take S's after them, and I've only got one S. So I can't really use row K to good effect. So, what to do? Ute does take a B or an M in front of it. I'm looking in row G. Can't see a good way to use that. Plenty of time on my clock. But I'm struggling to find any play at all, which is never a good position to be in. Do I have anything in column 5 as a double-double? I don't think so. I've got a bism on my rack, but there's nowhere great to play that. Well, what about down here? Let me see what this scores. Getting rid of all of my high-scoring tiles. Pretty horrible rack leave, but 34 points. Is that really the best I can do? It's not a disastrous rack leave, so I think I'll go with this. Well, I have no duplicate tiles. I have high-scoring ones. Having gotten rid of all 3 of my high-scoring tiles, I draw 3 more, plus another U. My Y can go next to the B of a bism, so I could play any, but I don't really like keeping the V and the U. Yunks would be pretty good. The rack lever AVE works quite well, and I can play that in row C underneath the A of flavour. I can also play it in column 10 next to the M of a bism, but for a much lower score. Through an S I would have unsexy. Great, my young spot stays available, and better still, my opponent only gets 7 points for Liri. Fantastic. Yunks 34. Can't see a bingo with this rack, but I can sort it out by playing out Vi, which goes in row K underneath the T of net. It won't score very much, but it will sort the rack out. And also it plays in row A for a lot of points. Out Vi and F. Excellent. Well, I hope that stays available. That'll be over 40 points. I wasn't expecting to score that much when I first saw this rack. Great, and that stays available. My opponent gets 21 points. He's still over 100 behind. Out Vi 44. Fantastic. And I draw the first blank. But again, 3 high-scoring consonants. I don't think there is a bingo here. But if I played 2 of the high-scoring tiles and one of the A's, then I'll be in pretty good shape. So FAH somewhere would be pretty good. Haven't seen anywhere for that at the moment. The F is the least bingo-y of the three high-scoring tiles, so given that I have the blank, I'd certainly like to play that off. Yeah, well, I could play FAHS in row F onto the S of landscape. Only 18 points, but it sorts the ruck out. And, well, slightly more dangerously, I could play it in column 14, making Re-F. But that may be worth doing, because if my opponent plays in column 15, he'll probably be opening up column 14 as a bingo lane. $18 points for my opponent. $24 points there. 18 points across here. Well, this is pretty dangerous in itself, placing an A next to this double word square. If my opponent bingos in column 15, he'll score a lot, but if he doesn't, he's not going to score an enormous amount, I don't think, because he's not going to be able to place a tile on one of these double letter squares. Now, am I sure I don't have a bingo with this rack? I've got the man ending. So through an L I would have flashman, if that's good. I'm not sure about that. I don't think half man is good. Yeah, I'm going to go with this. So, do I have a bingo? Pretty promising looking rack. My M can go next to the H of far. Goodman is good. I think that plays in column 15, making ag and ho. Let me run through the alphabet. I've only got one blank, so that's doable. So, can't see anything there. Do I have anything here? Mangoed isn't good. Ah, Goodman has been blocked in that spot. I can't see anywhere else for it, so at the moment I don't have a bingo. Does Riff take an S? I think it does, but I'm going to challenge it in case it doesn't. Yep, that's fine. So let me go back to my bingo hunting. Through an E, I would have amidogen. Now I've got the ing ending here. Goldman. And Mangold. Ah, well, Mangold down here. Fantastic. I'm not going to look anymore. That's good enough for me. I have a slight doubt about this move, but I often do have doubts. I think it's good. Mangold, 93. More high-scoring tiles, including the Z, but at least I have one vowel. So much better than having no vowels at all. And at the moment, if Mangold stays on, I've got Zar and Zo in column 14 for a lot of points. My opponent burned a blank for his play of Juts for 37 points. So no more blanks in this game. I have a 200-point lead if Mangold stays on. I note that HM takes an O in front, and there are a lot of O's left. Great, my opponent changes, which means ZA can be played. Fantastic. I don't think there's anything else that can be played here. Rack leaves awful, but for 63 points, that doesn't matter. Just quickly scanning the board in case there's another equally hot spot, and there isn't. Great, having drawn only 2 tiles with no vowels, I'm grateful to have drawn 1 vowel. It is an O. I can't use the ohm hook to good effect. I'll be looking to play off at least 2 of my consonants, and preferably more, to increase my chances of drawing vowels to balance the rack. I could play corpse in row F. Only 15 points. Very few vowels on the board to actually play through. A whole bunch of vowels in the bag though. Look at those E's and O's. 12 of the remaining 28 tiles are E's and O's. Well, hopefully my opponent is swamped with them. In fact, there's a whole bunch of vowels left. Let me just count the consonants. 12 consonants out of 28. Okay, so not quite as vowel heavy as it looks. But certainly are a lot of E's and O's. Now, Zo takes a D in front. I have a D. Do I have a 4-letter play? Do I have anything which goes in front of A, L, which can go after D? No, well, Pal is good, but I don't have anything beginning DP. My opponent bingos for 83 points. Good spot by him. And he's provided some vowels, so I could play through the E of dog ear. Dog ears. So I could play corned, keeping BD. There is an S left, so I don't want to play in column 12 in a way that enables an S bingo to be played in row O. I've got a good lead, even though my opponent's bingoed, he's still over 200 points behind. Now, annoyingly, I can't play over the top of dog ears because my vowel doesn't go in front of this G. I could play bond across here, but then OB takes a lot of the remaining tiles underneath it. So I think probed is going to be the best in terms of rack, leave and score. C and N have some synergy, especially with an O if I draw one. Probed 22. I do draw an O. This is quite a balanced rack. But I don't have a 7-letter bingo with it. Not many floaters to consider. The C and H have good synergy. So I'll be looking to score with this rack. I'm looking in row F to see if I can play onto the S of landscape. Can't see a way of doing that. Chode is good, but it doesn't take an S. Nine tiles in the bag. Now, column 5 remains available. So, as a double-double lane, my D could go after Ute. So, do I have a play ending UTED? Don't think I do. 28 points for my opponent. That's a good score for him. The S is still out there. Pretty bingo-y set of remaining tiles. I've got 10 minutes left, so I've got plenty of time. Now, row N is a bingo lane, especially for bingos ending ES, so my opponent could play loonies. But very difficult to block that. Or is it? What if I play cod across here? Then I've got the H for going underneath the C, so I should be able to get a big score next go across here. Doe doesn't take anything in front of it of the remaining tiles. I think it's just an A. 20 points is respectable, but hopefully the payoff will come next go if I can score well in row O. Four tiles left. My opponent doesn't have loonies, but I suspect there will be some bingos in those remaining tiles. But my opponent could well have a lot of E's and I's and not have a bingo. Anyway, what do I have in row O? DWO is good. So I could play Ho, H-O-E, for nearly 50 points. That's pretty good. I'm struggling to see anything else, but I don't really need to find anything much better than that. My opponent has only got 1 point tiles, so he's going to struggle to score. He could play underneath DO, going to the right, but he won't score very much, but he would be blocking my play. Cod takes an E in front, so he could play in column 7, which could also obstruct my access to that hot spot under the sea. Great, only 19 points for my opponent. Still 3 tiles in the bag. Oh, just going to remove my cat. Right, he's been removed. Now, 3 tiles in the bag, so do I play HOE emptying the bag, or do I play HO leaving 1 in the bag? I'm inclined to play off the 3rd tile. I don't really want to keep a vowel heavy Rackley with so many vowels out there. Ho, 47. Now I can see what my opponent has got. I don't think he's got a bingo there. So, but he could well go out in 2, and that's the reason you normally leave 1 tile in the bag, to hamper your opponent's ability to plan a 2 move out. I have no scoring tiles. I could play T'ing in column 3, that would play off 5 of my tiles. I can't see anywhere to score well on this board. Great. My opponent, I don't think, can go out with his remaining tiles, so I probably will be able to go out myself. So, T'ing or towing. My priority here is to ensure a 2 move out. Now, this certainly does that. I can play E down here, double E down here, and E chord. And NWE across here. But I think I'll play T'ing because then I'll have O and Ohm. I don't see any point when playing online to spend a very long time planning the perfect endgame. My opponent's got 5 minutes left. Well, he's got until on his rack. I didn't check to see if that plays anywhere, so he may be able to go out. He doesn't though, and he's provided another spot for me to go out. I could play OE and a lint. 9 points. OE and Ohm. 11 points. Let me put this down and quickly scan the board and see if I can score even more. I guess if I'd kept E, I could have played D, Re and AE. Never mind. Well, if there is somewhere better, it's not going to be a huge amount better. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game, which he does. And the final score, 296 to my opponent, 547 to me, a winning margin of 251 points. Let's see what I missed. So this was my opening rack. Quare for 48. That's pretty much the only play worth considering. It's a lot better than anything else down there. My opponent had a lot of consonants. He played sit. And here I played landscape, and it's always good to spot an obscure bingo, especially with a rack of 6 consonants and 1 vowel. Now, this was my opponent's rack, pretty grim stuff. He played nets, and I had a grim rack. I played flavor. I didn't like it, but looking at this, at the scores and rack leaves in conjunction, as one always should do, it's actually fine. Another horrible rack for my opponent, which blocked both of the plays that I wanted to play. I struggled with this rack. I didn't like Abysm. Morby. C10, where's that? Oh yes, across here. Well, I didn't see that, and that certainly would have been a really nice play. Totally sorts the rack out. Good rack leave. Instead, I played Abysm for 6 more points, but I burn my S and I keep the U, so Morby a lot better. Another horrible rack for my opponent. He's having a lot of 1-point tile racks, and I was drawing a lot of the higher consonants, higher scoring consonants. Anyway, this was my rack. Unvexed. Where does that go? E2. Onto the T of landscape. Yep, very nice. 32 points. Instead, I played Yunks for 34. Well, I think that's a better play. Although the V gets a bad press, actually, with the A and the E, there's quite a bit of synergy going on there. And a Y, I think, is probably a less bingo-y tile than the V. And if it's not, it's dependent on having L's and I's to improve its bingo-iness, which it doesn't have after Unvex, so I'm happy with Yunks. My opponent plays Rye, and this is where I was somewhat fortunate to be able to get 44 points from this rack. Now, my opponent has Jowlier. I don't think he's got anywhere for it. Let's just go back and see if he had anything nice. Nope, nothing great available. So he played Or, and this was my rack. D14, FAH, yeah, that was my play, and I still like that. Great rack leave, and it's good to open the board up when you've got a blank. My opponent also had a blank. This was his rack. He burnt the blank to get rid of the J. What could he have done? Well, he could have kept the blank and played Roji down here, parallel to Far. That would have been nice. Anyway, he didn't block that. I had Mangold. Wow, and apart from Mangold, the only other play was Ondogram, which is a really tough word to spot. But in any event, Mangold was best. Lots of vowels for my opponent. What did he do? Well, he changed. Now, this is where I played Tsar for 63, and that looks best, even though the rack leave is awful. My opponent has dog ears, and that was the only bingo, so great spot by him. Now, at this point, I'm 200 points ahead, approaching the end game. And there was a double-double through the Ute. Through Ute, it was cornuted for 44. I didn't see that. Well done if you did. That would have been a great spot. Bond for 31, well, that's the play across here, which I didn't like because it opens up row O. And in fact, all of the other plays are playing in the same spot, so apart from cornuted, I think I prefer probe to the other options on offer. This was my opponent's rack. He doesn't have a bingo. He plays Wog for 28. Now, what did I do here? Oh, I think this is where I played Cod. Yeah, it doesn't appear because Cod was a setup play, and the generator of these moves, I don't think, looks for setup plays. But none of these plays are fantastic. And Cod scores, well, I'm taking a hit of about 10 points, but setting up a really hot spot. This was my opponent's rack. Did he have a bingo? Nope, he didn't. He played nets. And this was my rack. Oh, wow, look at that. I could have played Gi. I didn't consider that for 53 points. Instead, I played Ho for 6 points less. Yeah, well, probably not very much between those, given how many vowels are left. This was my opponent's rack. He played Wee. Now, I think I can go out in 2 at this point. Zaire. Oh, wow, I didn't consider that down here. But it's not a particularly good play because I'm not going to be able to go out with EEGNO, I don't think. So instead I played teeing or towing for 14. Yeah, I suspect some of those other plays were better, but I was massively ahead at this point. Let's see what my opponent had here. Yep, he didn't have an out. And then I have OE, and OE and Ohm is the highest scoring spot. So, great game, always good fun to score over 5 points, always good fun to win by a margin of 200 points or more. And it was a good game also because of the bingos, Landskip and Mangold, not easy words to see. And, well, certainly Landskip was from a very unpromising rack, so I'm really delighted to have spotted that. And there was also a lot of racks here which had heavy tiles, which I played my way through with Flavour and Yunks, so I think there was a good variety of racks in this game. I hope you enjoyed watching that and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.